Hello and welcome. My name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. Today is November 11th, 2025 in the United States. That is Veterans Day. We celebrate all of the veterans who have served in the military in our country. I have many relatives who have served in the military and friends, and I am so grateful and thankful for them. I just realized that in October is my anniversary of when I started making floss tubes, and it has been 7 years now. I can't believe it. That's crazy to me. I don't think I have any other housekeeping. Okay, so today I have some framing to show you that my husband did, some finishes, some new starts, and all of the projects I've worked on in the last 2 months. And at the end, I'll show you some of my finishes and current projects for knitting and crocheting. So first is framing. My husband learned how to frame and started framing things for me so I could hang more stuff up in the house. He framed Kringles by Little House Needleworks. I love the frame. I think it turned out so great. Oh, where am I going to put these? I love this one. I think it's a Victorian Christmas by Victoria Needleworks. It'll be in the description box. This one has beads and ribbon embroidery on the tree and some pulled work. This is First Frost by Hands On Design. They were in the chart, they are a snowman shape, but Shepherd's Bush store in Ogden stitched them next to each other in one long line and had a model on their wall, and I loved it. So I used their conversion and the way they placed it. Oh. This is Bump Into Night Farm by Praiseworthy Stitches. My grandkids love this one. I love having it. I had it hanging up in the stairwell where they could, low down where they could see it. Has lots of buttons, some beads. Such a fun one. And then the October to October stitch along that just ended in October was Matter in Hand by Jeannette Douglas. I did mine on a light blue fabric. I love how it turned out, and I love this frame. And I'm going to have to go get a Band-Aid because I caught my finger on one of the wires and now I'm bleeding. Okay, crisis averted. Got a Band-Aid. Can't be getting blood on any of the needlework. Okay, that was all of the framing that my husband did. Now let's look at some finishes. This is Outdoor Adventure by Mill Hill Buttons and Beads Kit. I did it on the perforated paper that came in the kit. Used the thread and the beads that came in the kit. I don't know if you can see all the beads, all those all the leaves on the trees are beads. And this cute tree button. Such a pretty one. I love that one. This is Fall Folk by Hands On Design with the called for colors, 2/2 on 32 count. It is the called for color. Can't tell if it's linen or even weave. I have the 3 other seasons for this that I would like to stitch. I just haven't stitched them yet. And just yesterday, I finished Autumn Bingo. Or it's a French designer. Bingo d'Automne. These are the names of the designers down there at the bottom. Gribeau Lachat, and Delphine Lutina. It was originally a stitch along a year ago in the fall, and they would release 1 square per week all during the season of autumn for 16 weeks. And I got it partially done last year, but didn't finish all of it until this year. Just yesterday, finished up the last little bit. I converted all the DMC, most of the DMC, to a silk that I had just in my stash that was a very similar color, just because the silk would cover it a little bit better on this 40 count fabric flare called Leaf 2. And then the only other change I made was this border. Instead of doing it as charted, those autumn leaves, I happen to have some Threadworks in my collection of threads. Where is it? It's Threadworks 1044, and it's a variegated, and the colors matched almost exactly all the other colors in this piece. So instead of doing the charted border, which I think are all, I think it's 2 colors of red leaves, I used that variegated thread. And I also used that variegated thread for the leaves in the squirrel tree and the umbrella tree. That apple square was the one I just finished last night. So cute. They're all just darling. I loved every one of them. This is a free pattern on their Facebook group. This is the name of their Facebook group. It's in French, but you can click the little translate button on your computer or phone or your browser, and it will translate it all for you. But if you're interested in joining their Facebook group, this is what it's called. And then the free, there was a different pattern for every square, and they are still available for free in their files section of that Facebook group. You just have to request to join. And then last year at Stitch West, a year ago, the guest designer was Hands On Design. And the pattern we were given is this one, Make Today Count. And we were also given this beautiful board by Chantel 141 to finish it on. And so before I went to Stitch West this year, I decided that was good motivation to get it fully finished. So I finished it 6 or 8 months ago, but didn't fully finish it until early October. And then last year at Christmas time, you may remember that I finished this little pattern that came with it. And we had a class that day where she taught us how to finish this round circle. So I was so proud of myself for getting those done. I think that's all the finishes. I do have 4 new starts, but I don't have them pulled out separately. They're just going to show up in the WIP pile somewhere when I get to it. This is Seasons by the Sea by Jeannette Douglas. There is a pattern for every, it's in 4 parts. You put them all together, you stitch them all together, and it makes one big square. This is the autumn square. This is a stitch along I am doing with Becky. We started last year. So I should be almost done with this, but I'm not. Becky probably is. Becky, I need a progress picture. You need to email me a progress picture. But you may remember that I started with winter and then started on spring, which is the next square. But I messed up the sand in the water and had to rip almost all of it out and put it back in. But I did, so I finished. Winter is finished. There's lots of specialty stitches, fancy floss. I bought the little floss pack that comes with it, and beads that I have not put, and charms that I have not put on yet. And then I started on the spring square, redid this part that I messed up, put the water in, I did the seaweed, I started on this turtle, and I did this whole ship when I did winter, so I didn't do that this time. I had that done before. So Becky, I am working on it. I am trying to get caught up. If anyone would like to join us, feel free. Mine is on 32 count frozen by Forbidden Fiber with the called for specialty threads. If there's cross stitch, it is usually 2/2. But all the other different specialty stitches call for different, either 1 strand or 2 strand. You just have to follow the directions. I usually work on a piece that has Jesus on it on Sundays. And I finished the portrait of Christ, and then decided that it would be a good time to try and get Churchyard Christmas finished by Praiseworthy Stitches. It has baby Jesus right in the middle. So I've been working on that on Sundays, hoping to get that finished. Would be fabulous if I finished it for this season. Don't know if I'm going to make it. I've been working in this middle section. I just need to finish some back stitching right here, and then I will move up to this page up here. The bottom is done over to there, thank goodness. Finished up all the nativity children who are in the nativity pageant. It does have Krynic blending filament. There's green sparkly in the letters, red sparkly in the border, and just the top edge of the snow in all the places where the top of the snow is, there's a white sparkly. This is the called for fabric, 32 count Mirage by Picture This Plus. And I am using the called for threads 2/2. 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I originally started this because in 2019, I think it was, I saw Rika, House of Stitch and Stash, working on it and fell in love with it. She finished hers long ago. I have been participating in the Teresa Kogut Stitch Along through her Patreon group called Hometown. It was a 2-year stitch along that ends next month in December. That will be the end. So we are almost done. I have just barely managed to keep up. So there are only 2 sections left. We will get one on November 15th and one on December 15th, and then that will be the end. Mine is on 46 count Buttercream Linen by Lakeside Linens. It's been a long 2 years, but wow, it's looking so good. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads, 1/2. Got to do another little turkey down there above the H. The stitching store is almost done, the green building. I saw a stitcher working on it at Stitch West, and instead of Hometown that there at the bottom, she recharted it to say the name of her hometown. I thought that was such a great idea. The called for DMC. This is black. Oh, there we go. Black Vintage Sampler by Al Forest Embroidery. My daughter Catherine took this home last summer for my birthday and Mother's Day because I had to restart it. So she restitched all the things that I had already had stitched on the one previously because I didn't like the fabric, and got me caught back up to where I was. It was so nice of her. And then I did some more. Let's see, what did I do? I stitched these over here and added a little bit more on the house. Mine is on 46 count Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim, and I am using 2 strands of a Vera Soie d'Alger Noir or black. No, not 2 strands, 1 strand. It's 1/2. What in the world was I thinking? So at Stitch West, a group of friends and I usually start a piece and divide it up into squares. That is not the piece I thought it was. Gosh, where is it? Well, we'll come to that one in a minute. This one, the guest designer at Stitch West this year was so fun. I went to that in October in Salt Lake City. I made a video of everything I purchased and was given, and some other things that I've purchased in between time that I will put, well, let's just put it, well, I'll put it at the end. Then I won't have to look for it to edit where to put it in. But the guest design and the fabulous retreat. It is always a fabulous retreat. I've been to every one they've done since 2019, I think it was. It's Deb and Kath. Their channel is Snug Harbor Crafts. And they are so fun, and they do a fabulous retreat, just fabulous. And I love, one of my favorite things about that retreat is they just invite any vendor who wants to come and sell. And they all have a table inside the stitching room. So it's nonstop shopping while you're stitching and chatting. It just was so fun. But the guest designer this year was Tiny Modernist, and the pattern we were given for the retreat was called Stitchy Friends Are Best. We were given the chart and the floss, the DMC floss, and then we got to choose our own fabric to purchase. We had to purchase our own fabric, but they had some there if we wanted some that was just like this one. I chose 32 count Hearthstone linen by Millennial Fabrics, and I shared it with my friend Amy. We bought a piece and cut it in half. That's the back. This needle minder was a gift from another stitchy friend that I thought was perfect. Oh, Sharon. It was from Sharon. Let's see if we can get the thread kind of out of the way. And that's what I have so far. Let's see if we can get it to behave. Not a whole lot. I just worked on it the one day at the retreat. And then the next night, we were given another chart that goes with it. Stitchy Friends Berry. So I'll be stitching that to go with it. So cute. And this was a gift from a table mate. She made one for each of us. Isn't that beautiful? My friend Sharon was telling me how she and a couple of her friends were going to do Nativity Tiny Town as their daily 30 piece. So 30 minutes on most days. And I said, I want to do that because I already had the pattern. We were sitting next to each other at Stitch West. That's where she told me about it. So this is what I have so far. I'm almost to the middle. Mine is on the leftover piece of 46 count Prehistoric from my fabulous houses. I thought that would be a great color. And I'm using the called for threads, 1/2. And I love the sheep, the little chicken. There's a bird on the camel. The blanket on the camel's back has a fringe. I love that. So 1/2. Jingle Ball, put on by Lindy Stitches, is coming up on the first weekend in December. You can still sign up. It's only, oh, now I can't remember and I don't want to say the wrong price. The tickets, just a ticket to attend, is minimal cost. And then you get to watch all the meet and greets with the designers, and you can do, you can go in a room and stitch with other stitchers if you want, virtual. It's all virtual. Anyway, I signed up for a class at the Jingle Ball online retreat that is Animal Crackers Ginger by Stacy Nash. I just signed up for the PDF pattern for the class. You could get a kit. I think the kits are all sold out now, but you can still sign up for the PDF pattern for the class. And then she'll do a class that you attend virtually during that weekend, where she teaches you how to finish it into this shape. And then last year at Jingle Ball, I took this sewing book class. So I got the PDF pattern and then got to watch the class, and she showed how she made it into a needle book. And I haven't stitched it yet, but I would love to get it. I'll stitch this one first and see how much time I have before Jingle Ball, but I would love to get this one stitched as well. And mine is on, oh, rats. It is 40 count, Weeks Dye Works, Aztec Red, I think, that I got from 123 Stitch with the called for threads, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I just have the gingerbread house she's holding, her little scarf that she's wearing around her neck, and part of her head and her hand. Here is the stitch along. Oh my goodness. Okay, so every year in October, a group of friends and I that usually see each other at Stitch West will pick a piece, divide it into 12 parts, and then finish a section, try and stay up so that we have it finished by the next time we get together in October. Well, none of those friends came to Stitch West this year. They were all at other retreats, including Colette, the highway stitcher, who is usually our stitch along leader. So this is the pattern that we chose, and I know lots of you are stitching it. I met a lot of you at Stitch West. That was so fun. If you want to join us, the hashtag is October to October Stitch Along. So OCTOOCTSAL. And unfortunately, oh dear, Colette is not able to join us this year in the Stitch Along because she's trying so hard to finish a lot of her works in progress. And I have a page that I don't know what I did with it. Oh, phew, here it is. Okay, this is how we're going to divide it up. If you want to stitch it that way, you do not have to. It's also posted on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is handworkmaniac. So I suppose I'm the stitch along leader this year. Mine is on 40 count Dark Soil by XJu Designs, which I think is the called for fabric. And I'm using the called for threads. It's called Hope by Shakespeare's Peddler. I'm doing 1/2. It is a really dark brown, pretty dark fabric, but I think any brown would work. I think it would just be beautiful. You do not have to do this dark of a brown, but I do think it is beautiful on this fabric. I love how the reds, and I love that there are tomato pincushions all the way around the border. But that was October section. I still need to do November section. This next one is Give Thanks by Glendon Place. Mine is on 28 count vintage country mocha with the called for threads. So 2 strands of floss for the DMC that's used in it, and 1 strand of the Karen Wildflowers pearl cotton that's called for. It's all the called for. And that pearl cotton is an overdyed. It is gorgeous. I've been working on that middle flower section. But I do have the beginning of the letters. So 2/2 with the DMC floss and 1/2 with the Karen variegated pearl cotton. Karen water lilies. It is just going to be stunning. I told you last time about Kathy, who sent me, had decided that she was couldn't stitch any longer and sent me all of her cross stitch supplies to share with all of my friends. And I did keep some. But she asked if I could help her finish this pattern for her grandson that she had started stitching for her grandson, and I said I would be happy to do that. It's called Ruskin's Penguins by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it says one can't be angry when one looks at a penguin. It's so cute. I think it's on 28 count lamb's wool. She sent me what she had started on it. And she had done part of this, most of this top border right here, and part of the letters, I think. But this is where I am. I'm almost done. Except that I stitched to this part last night and realized that this one is all going to have to come back out because this one is special. Right here in the middle, it's a little bit wider because when I got over here, it did not meet up. But that's okay. That was only a couple hours of work. So I'll rip that out and redo that. It's such a cute pattern and I love the sentiment. It's the Roxy Floss Co. threads. 2/2. The next one is Gather In. The Gather In by Plum Street Samplers. This was a retirement gift from Rika, House of Stitch and Stash. Mine is on 40 count vintage straw flower by Lakeside Linens with the called for flosses. 1/2. I love this pattern. I love this acorn trim along the front of this house. So pretty. This is Autumn Montage by Jan Lynn. It's a kit. The kit came with like an oatmeal colored 14 count Aida. And I decided to stitch it on 36 count linen that I overdyed myself. I am using the kit floss, 2 strands. And I just got started on the next section. So 2 over 2. These are the day and night bunny tins. By Doreen Jones in the Cross Stitcher magazine. These 2 were in the June 2023 magazine. Oh, here we go. So there is a they're cute little bunny that go in an Altoid tooth. And you stitch the background, and then you also stitch the little bunny pillow. And the blanket is separate as well on this one. So this is the day bunny. And then this is the night bunny. And I just think they are so cute. The Cross Stitcher magazine had a whole series of them in several of their issues, mostly in 2023. I'm stitching them with my sister-in-law, Debbie. She's already finished. I finished the pieces for the day bunny, but haven't put them in the tin yet. Or made the little pillows. And then I finally got started on the night bunny. They're on 14 count Aida. Called for DMC 2 over 1 Aida square. In September, I pulled out tried to get some time in on all of my samplers, but it turned out to be a little bit of a crazy month, so I did not work on them as much as I had hoped to, but I did get to work on all of them. This is the Wisdom Sampler by Vermilion. I saw Julie stitching at the cabin working on this a year ago at Stitch West. Julie, I missed you this year at Stitch West. And just fell in love with it and said, I went straight home and kitted it up and started it. I said, I have to stitch that. I had seen it before. I had seen Pam, Just Keep Stitching, is working on this one. And I'd seen it on Instagram and Flosstube. But when I saw it in person, that was just like, oh, okay, got to stitch that. It does have blended threads. It's DMC. Mine is on 36 count cream linen, which is the called for linen, with the called for DMC. So 2/2 on 36. I worked a little bit on Band of Roses 1845 by Cross Stitch Antiques. This is the original sampler, antique sampler. Oh, this might look the same as the last time I showed it to you. The dark blue letters and the medium blue letters, I used a silk that was almost the exact same color as the DMC, just so it would cover a little better. And I did finish the Band of Roses and different flowers, and I worked on this motif down here, but maybe not since I showed it to you at the beginning of September. Maybe I worked on it in August. This one is Haberdashery Shop by Doreen Jones. Mine is on 25 count Lugana, pre-gridded. I'm using the called for DMC 1/1 full cross. Those gray lines will soak out when I'm done. You soak it and the gray lines disappear. They do show through a little bit on the where it's white stitching. And I've only done some of the back stitching right here. I haven't done the rest. Love that one. It's always fun to work on. This one is Autumn by Heaven and Earth Designs. I call it Autumn Cat. I started this with my friend Sharon because she was going to stitch it, and I decided it was gorgeous and I had to stitch it too. It's on 25 count moss, even weave, 1/1 full cross. Beautiful colors. This one is Retour au Chalet by Madame Lafille, which I think translates to Return to the Cabin. Mine is on 46 count Everything Else by Mystic Fabrics with the called for DMC. And I finished this whole section right here. That was some serious confetti stitching right there. That was a lot of work. So beautiful. Called for DMC 1/2. Okay, I worked on Bless This House by Catherine Theron. It was a class I took through my EGA, my old Sampler Guild. So the fabric and floss were given to us, so I'm not sure what they are. But I was able to do this beehive right here, which is a detached buttonhole, which I am not very good at. But I decided done was better than perfect, so I'm just going to, it's a bit of a mess, but I'm happy with it. It's good. We're just going to move on. I think this might be 32 count fabric, linen. The berries are queen stitches. The grass is encroaching gobelin. The trunk is long arm cross going vertical. This is a stitch along with my friend Susan. We're doing a Cross My Heart stitch along. So if you have any Cross My Heart patterns and would like to join us, please do. Mine's out of this book, Artistic Landscapes. And I'm doing this one, Mountain Meadow. Susan is doing a Big Bend piece out of a different book. Mine is on 32 count linen, light blue linen, with the called for DMC. 2 strands of floss. And Susan was at Stitch West, so we were able to stitch together for a few minutes. Oh, and Ginger of Daisy Chain Quilt Co. made this for me and gave it to me at Stitch West. Brenda, the handwork maniac. Isn't that cute? It was so nice of her. She's the one who made this custom bag for me. This is Jessie Challenor, a reproduction sampler by Hands Across the Sea. I'm doing the faded version. Mine is on 56 count unwashed egg linen by Dames of the Needle. And I'm using 1 strand of Soie Surfine silk. And it's just so tiny. Did a little more of the border. And I think maybe 1 or 2 more letters. I think that's all of the cross stitch content. Now I'll just show you some of my crocheting and knitting. And then right after that, I'll do a clip of all the things I brought home from Stitch West and some things that I got hung up on my wall in my house. Give you a little preview of that. That will come right after the yarn content, which will just be a few minutes. I knitted this baby blanket it's a cotton blend fabric by Revolution Fibers. It's just stockinette with a seed stitch border, but it has a lovely drape to it because that cotton thread has a little bit of weight. It was very fun. I haven't taken care of the ends yet. I showed you last time that I was working on this Color My Pixels scarf. I bought the yarn at the Needlepoint Joint in Ogden, which is also a fabulous yarn and needlepoint store, and some cross-stitch stuff. It's a solid color of tan and then a variegated, unique earth yarn that goes from dark. It's greens and blues, but it goes from dark to light. Which side is the right side? I think this is the right side. So you can see how it changes from light to dark. I showed you last time that I was working on this hitchhiker scarf with Shopel yarn. Beautiful. And I crocheted this Afghan throw with Premier puzzle yarn in the color Crossword. It's folded in half. And it's just the mosaic stitch. And then I had some yarn left over, so I decided to try making a scarf with it, which I did. I just haven't hidden the ends yet on that. I finished the brown socks I was working on last time that I showed you. And started on these socks. The yarn is from Farmer's Daughter. I have one done. Another one started. I'm using this Lion brand mandala yarn to knit a scarf, a big rectangle scarf. This is my Fair Isle sweater that's getting a little bit longer. I am almost up to the shoulder seam. So getting close to done. I fell down a rabbit hole of assigned pooling thread yarn. So I started this fall scarf. And assigned pooling yarn is where when you get to this particular color in the dyed, the variegated dyed yarn, you do a special stitch. I thought these looked kind of like pumpkins, so I thought this would be a fun color to try it with. So that one was fun. Trying to remember what yarn that was. Potions and Pearls yarn in the color Pumpkin Spice. Fingering weight. And then I think the last one is my Huga scarf. Shawl. I guess it's a shawl. By Kirsten Ballering. She is Hawk Maroc. Right there. It's a crocheted shawl, and then you cross stitch on top of it. So I now have this much finished. I've made it to the big center panel. So I'm close to the middle. It's just a single crochet, and then you use the colored yarn to cross stitch on top of it. This is a crochet stitch that's done on top, and this down here is a popcorn stitch. All right, I think that's everything. I'm just going to continue working on my fall projects until we get closer to Christmas, and then I'm going to be pulling out my Christmas projects. And I will insert a clip here of everything that I brought home from Stitch West and some other things that I purchased in between. Thanks for watching. A stitchy friend, Con, had some higher count fabrics that she knew she wasn't going to stitch on and offered to give them to me. So she brought them to me. We met at a restaurant and she brought them. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I went to Stitchery Express in Clearfield, Utah. Bought a pattern and an old magazine and several bags. Wonderful cross-stitch store. At the Stitch West retreat in Salt Lake City, put on by Snug Harbor Crafts, Deb and Kath. They're amazing. Always do the most wonderful retreat. I purchased these bags and this pattern from Daisy Chain Quilt Co., Ginger. And she also gifted me these cute little accessories that match the custom bags she made me. Love her bags. And I bought this bag from another vendor, so this Stitch That with underscore in between on Instagram. I love the fabric on the back, and it has this extra pocket on the back. These are the needle minders I gave away on the left side at Stitch West, and then the ones on the right side are ones that were given to me. We received this wonderful felted box when we checked in. Has a ruler on the top, checked into Stitch West. And then on the back, it has a phone holder. Beautiful. These are the wonderful gifts people gave me, table gifts and just gifts from other stitchers. Thank you so much. They were also wonderful. These were some patterns I picked up off the freebie table. And then I thought I'd show you, I have been getting things up on the wall since my husband started framing for me. I got fabulous houses up, and then I decided to hang things on the stairway that the grandchildren would enjoy because they're low enough the grandkids can see them. And my husband framed those with acrylic instead of glass in case they get knocked off the wall. And then I finally got some seasonal stuff on a shelf by the front door.